Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a super affordable alternative to tatami cutting mats out of cardboard. Here we go. Even if you're not familiar with swords, you've probably seen videos on the internet of somebody test cutting on one of these. This is a roll-up tatami mat. It's great for testing my edge alignment, my power, and all sorts of other things. The problem is, until recently, and especially during the pandemic, these were really hard to get a hold of, and they could be pretty expensive. Now, recently a new seller has come onto the market. I'm going to tell you about them later. These are a lot more affordable and accessible now. You can get them anywhere from between $7 to $10 after shipping, and that's a good deal. But if that's still expensive for you, or you don't want to deal with the hassle of having to soak this overnight before you use it, you can make one of these. This is the same thing made out of cardboard. It's not quite as nice to cut as this, but it's pretty close. And it only costs between $0 and $3 at the max. Now, the cool thing about this is instead of having to soak it overnight, you can soak it for 1 minute before you use it and it's ready to go. So let me show you how to make these. So these targets are made out of cardboard and they more or less replicate what it's like to cut a tatami mat. It's a little bit easier to cut tatami than it is to cut these, but on a budget, this is a great way to keep test cutting without having to spend a lot of money buying tatami over and over again. And it's recyclable, so it's environmentally friendly. What you're gonna need is you're going to need some large boxes from Lowe's. Don't get the heavy duty ones, get the normal thickness ones. And you're gonna open them up at the seams so they're one continuous roll. You're also going to need some rubber bands and some thin dowel rods. These are just to start the process so we can roll up the boxes. Another thing you're gonna need is, I dropped that. Another thing you're gonna need is a water hose because we're gonna wet these down. So let's get started. It is January and it's very cold even though it's Louisiana. But we're gonna go ahead and do this. So we're gonna get these boxes nice and wet. How far can I get back? I'm also experimenting with using some of, so if you go into stores like appliance stores, like Lowe's or probably Best Buy, anything where they've got refrigerators, they have big slabs of cardboard. Those two that you can see in the very back that I'm trying to hit now that I can't, those are, I cut those up from a big slab I got, and usually they'll give those to you for free. So you can buy these nice ones for about $2 something each, or you can go buy go pick up the free ones. Okay, so now we're gonna flip them over and do the other side. I probably could have done this better if I'd given myself more space. So, think ahead. I'm sure my neighbors think I'm really weird, but they already knew that. Because I'm out in the yard with swords. Okay, so we've wet down everything and now we're gonna start the rolling process. It's got some leaves on it. Okay, so we want the label on the inside because we are going to roll it so it's nice and neutral on the outside. Start over here. Start by rolling it around the dowel. Pro tip on this process. So I was having a really hard time getting the original roll to take. And then you can see on my earlier attempts, there's this flap here that's kind of annoying to get down. Let me bring that a little closer. You can see the flap there. Well, so this is the seam that they use to put the thing together. And if you start on this end, it gives you a great point to hook the middle in. So that's the part I was having problems with. So I hook the middle in here. I get that roll nice and tight in a very controlled space. Now, when I go to the bigger part, the middle's already taken care of. I just have to worry about the ends. Makes it a lot easier. Because I don't have to worry about holding the middle, I can just focus on the ends. Middle's already got a good roll started. That was so much easier. That was so much quicker than the other ones I was doing. I wish I had figured this out before. And then it's a cakewalk from here. Just gotta do this. See the flaps. I'll say I like doing this on a table that's a little bit smaller than the box because I can reach underneath and roll those flaps up. Would have been a little bit harder if I was on something or if I was on the ground. So the table is nice because I'm not on the ground, and it helps me get those corners a little bit better. The best part about this way is at the end, there's no longer flap. So if you look at the two examples, flap, in the way, kind of annoying, straight, a lot easier to rubber band down. So when you're doing this, go ahead and start with the end that has the tab on it. It'll make the initial roll easier, and it'll mean that when you're done, you'll have a neater product. Again, always start with, well, unless you want to be cutting a box that says Lowe's all over it, always start with the logo facing down, I'm sorry, facing up. So you should be rolling the logo in and on itself. Otherwise, you end up with a bunch of boxes that say Lowe's on it, which, if you want to give Lowe's free advertisement, that's fine. But personally, I want mine to look a little bit cleaner. Gotta have room to write mean comments on them. So yeah, that's how you make practice cutting targets. So this was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. I said earlier this is the first time I've done this many. It's true, but it's also the first time I've done this. I've cut on these before. One of my friends, Amber, from Knockouts and Fencing, did a lot of these for us. So we cut on them a while back. This is a technique that I got. Amber showed me this technique, but it was John Knott who actually came up with this, as far as I know. He posted about it on Facebook, and that is the instructions I got. The instructions are pretty simple, but yeah, this is going to be a tatami mat, essentially. So this is a double thick piece of cardboard that I got from Lowe's. It was what they had in the back. I just kind of walked in and said, do you have any cardboard that you're going to recycle? And they said yes, and so I got this for free. I'm using less length than I did the other ones, because the other ones are single thick and this is double thick. And I made sure that I lined it up so that the rolls were going in this direction. When you look at cardboard, you can see where there's lines on it. You'll figure it out. Like, lines are going this way, so I'm going that way because that's the direction it wants to roll. It's significantly harder to start, and it's a little bit messier than the boxes were when I got done with it. But it did work. So this is my second one. I already tested one out. I'm going to show you this. The initial roll is not quite as tight. It took a lot more soaking, and it's still kind of stiff because it is double thick. If you got single thick, there's a bunch of boxes in the back that you can use. Just to make sure it's long enough that it's going to produce a satisfyingly tall target, and long enough the other direction that it's going to be enough material to roll. It ended up being thinner than the box, but it still makes a fairly good target. So yeah, you don't need to buy boxes. So this is a totally free, 100% free, well, rubber bands, 100% free cutting thing I got just by going into the back of a store and asking if they had cardboard they were going to recycle. So after creating my rolls, I let them dry for 3 days. Granted, I'm in Louisiana, so they're not totally dry, but that's the best I could do. And what we're going to do now is we're going to cut with them. So to get them ready, we are going to dunk them into a bucket of water for 60 to 90 seconds, and I put in about a cup of detergent. It says detergent, but it says Dawn. So I went with dish liquid, which is what I saw used before. So maybe experiment a bit with this, but it's going to help it soften itself up. Now, I could not find a bucket tall enough to do this all in one go, so I'm going to do half and half. So here we go. Go, and now we wait. Okay, it's been 60 seconds. Now we're gonna flip it to the other side. I don't want my floor super wet. Cool. Now we wait. Okay, ready now. It's softened up quite a bit. I'll let it drain, because I'd rather my floor not get soaked. I'm doing this inside. Most people do this outside, but this is where my studio is. It's get excess water out. Okay, cool. Let's set up. All right, so we've got our tatami stand. This is a tatami. This is kind of an uneven hole, so we'll see how this goes. Put it on. It's tight. I don't know if I'm even that out. Okay, cool. So we got the stand. I think we keep rubber bands on. Now let's cut with it. It's a little bit wobbly, if I'm honest. I haven't done a lot of cutting on this, so get ready to see me fail. Okay. It's not exactly what I wanted, but it's a pretty nice cut. I probably need to add some weight down here. Let's see if we do it again. Okay, so the stand's pretty loose. I'm not in love with this stand, if I'm honest. I'm probably gonna stuff something in here. It's making the cuts a lot harder. Yeah. The stand's gotta get some weights. Let's try this again. Got some weights. Again, new at this. So. Okay. Feels pretty good. Hey, I'm starting to get the hang of it. Well, that didn't work. It's pretty satisfying. Feels pretty good. Not quite in that one, that's my fault. That's pretty good. We got, what was that, 4 cuts? That's pretty good. I'm gonna try and cheat this. I want one more cut. I don't think I can get it. I doubt this. Okay, yeah, that last one was gonna work. But I got, I think, at least 4 clean cuts off of that. And that cost me $3. And the other ones, you know, the ones that were free, those didn't cost me anything. So, yeah, $3, 3 good cuts off of it. I don't think you can get quite as many cuts as you can off of the tatami mats on the cardboard. The tatami seems to be a little bit more sturdy. The cardboard does. If you try and cut too narrow on them, if you try and like cut off just little slivers, they tend to rip instead of cutting. So you got to take off decent chunks. But again, you know, you might be better at cutting than me. You might have the better time at that. So yeah, I'm really happy with this method. It's let me do a lot more cutting than I would have been able to otherwise. So, like I said before, there is a new seller on the market, Kageyama Importers. They just started up their business and they are selling tatami for super reasonable prices. After shipping, I got enough for 20 rolls at $210, which is really good. It comes out to about $11 a roll. They are doing business in the United States out of Arizona, and they can ship all over the country. So really good if you want to get actual tatami, and I suggest you do. But you should probably supplement your tatami with cardboard because it's so much cheaper and you can do more cutting than you could on just tatami. So it's not an either or situation. It's kind of like save this for the special occasions, still buy it, still use it, but then you've got your cardboard for your everyday cutting, and the cardboard's recyclable so you don't have to feel too bad about it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon. It allows us to keep making videos like this and testing out new things so we can make tutorials for you guys.